Hello, welcome to Osmosys technical series for Ionic framework. Today, I'm going to explain about preventing parent scope update in the Ionic framework. The prerequisites to working with Ionic framework are: one should be familiar with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and AngularJS. Now let's take a look at what is covered in this video. So we're going to see what is the parent scope updation issue, how to prevent the parent scope updation, and what are the ways of fixing the issue. Now let's take an example to explain the issue. This is a sample Ionic app with 3 tabs. So we'll be working on the accounts tab. Here we have a toggle button for enable friends option. This is our application JavaScript file, and here we are setting the enable friends property of the settings object, which is bound to the root scope, to true. And this is the accounts controller, and here we are binding the root scope to the current scope. And this is the accounts template, which has the enable friends toggle button, which we'll be using. As we have set the root scope value to true in the application JavaScript file and bound the root scope to the current scope in the controller, the toggle button is set to true. Now let's add a watcher to the scope value. I've just copy pasted the code that I've already written. When there is a change in the current scope value, I will read the root scope value that we've assigned and assign it to this variable. To understand the issue, let me add another toggle button to the screen. So now we'll bind the root scope value to this toggle button. So to differentiate the toggle buttons, we'll name this button as the current scope and this toggle button as a root scope. So let's just refresh the page. Now you can see 2 toggle buttons on the screen. Now if I set one toggle button to off, the other toggle button also is turned off. As you can see, I'll set it once again to true, and the other one also is set to true. The reason for this is, as we have bound the root scope value to the current scope value, both the values get updated. Now we have seen what the parent scope update problem is. Now let us see what are the ways of fixing it. The solution for this issue would be to clone the object instead of assigning it directly. There are 2 ways for solving this issue. The first is using JavaScript. Here we will use json.parse over json.stringify. In this method, json.stringify turns the JavaScript object into a JSON text and stores it in a string. Then json.parse turns the string into a JavaScript object. Now let's take a look at the toggle buttons. If I change one toggle button, the other does not change. This is one way of fixing the issue using JavaScript. Another method to solve this issue would be using the angular.copy method. The angular.copy method is provided by AngularJS. It takes 2 parameters, the source object and the destination object. It creates a deep copy of the source object and assigns it to the destination object. Now let's check the toggle button, and if I change one, the other does not change. So this is another way of fixing the issue using the angular.copy method. Let's take a look at a small summary of what we've learned in this video. We've seen what the parent scope update issue is, how to fix it using JavaScript, and also how to fix it using AngularJS. Thank you. Please subscribe to our channel for more videos.